So here lately I've noticed kind of a rise in camcorder cameras from like the 90s or the early 2000s. So I figured I'd take that as a chance to give a review for mine, show you some of the footage I've taken on it, and also how I transfer my footage onto my MacBook Pro, which is a whole ordeal. If you're someone who has one of the newer MacBook Pros and are trying to transfer mini DV footage, I got you. So the camera I have is a Sony DCR-PC100. I want to say I got this for like $160 off of eBay. I had to buy a bunch of other stuff that came with this camera, and that honestly is what added a lot of extra cost onto buying this thing. So the reason specific why I got this camera is because I saw another video here on YouTube of somebody talking about this camera being a good alternative to a VX1000. I saw that video, did my own research on this camera, and decided that I liked it quite a bit and figured it would be a good camera for me. Mainly because I couldn't afford a full-on VX, and also just kind of wanted something different. I think if you can figure this camera out and learn to use it to its full potential and learn how to transfer your footage well, that this can be a really good camera. If you're going for that like older kind of vintage-ish look in some videos, this is it. This is the camera. So let's just get right into everything that comes with this thing. So first off, I wasn't entirely sure how the battery life did on this camera, and from a few reviews that I saw, they were saying that it doesn't have a great battery life. So whenever I ordered the camera, I went ahead and ordered an extra battery. Honestly, after using this camera though, it has a pretty good battery life. I really haven't had any issues with, you know, like it draining super quick on me or anything like that so far, so that's a-okay. Battery life on this thing is pretty decent. I would still go ahead and buy an extra just in case, like it definitely doesn't hurt. And I don't think an extra battery was too expensive either. I can't remember how much I paid for it, but it wasn't much. It was one of the cheaper things that I had to buy extra for this camera. So the next thing you need to buy for this camera that is essential is the tapes. I just find them on like Amazon, eBay, online, anywhere you can get. They used to actually be available at Walmart, and sometimes I could find them at Walgreens. Now they definitely don't carry mini DV tapes anymore, which is kind of a bummer. It kind of sucks sometimes having to order them, especially you gotta time it right, you know? Especially if you're filming skating, you gotta make sure you have tapes at all times on you. So luckily enough for me too, whenever I bought the camera, it did come with the charger. So if you can find one that comes with the charger, that's perfect, right on. You know, of course, if not, buy a charger for it. That's kind of a given though, feel like I just have to say that though. So I bought this camera to film skateboarding with. So one of the other first things that I bought was a fisheye lens. So luckily enough for me, Optica makes a 37mm fisheye that fits on these cameras, which is awesome, and it looks kind of funny. Like, it looks so crazy on this thing. The fisheye is significantly bigger than the camera. It's funny. I love it. If I had to say any complaints about the fisheye though, is whenever I'm filming with it, it's hard. It gets that really crazy like lens shake. I don't know the technical term for that, but that's something that I'm definitely not too happy about. But you know, look at this thing. You know, you can't expect something like this to be amazing. You can't expect everything to work out and be perfect. So yeah, you just gotta love the imperfections. I'll show you some footage filmed with the fisheye on this thing so you can just see what it looks like for yourself. So I mainly got this camera just to film skateboarding with, but since getting it, I have filmed just basically everything on it. I've filmed stuff at home, or just camping, hiking, just daily adventures, just everything. I really like that you can't just go back and delete clips. I mean, eventually you could film over them if you want, but once you start filming on it, like, it's on the tape. And I like that so much because I tend to get just everything, and no matter what, there's always something to pick out of any time I'm filming. And it provides a much more natural video and natural reactions and people being more natural. I feel like whenever I film with this camera, people are more natural around it, oddly enough. Whereas if I'm filming with my digital camera, it's a little awkward. It's also kind of hard to film with a digital camera, especially since I don't have any cam caddy or anything. Whereas with this camera, it has this handy little handle on the side that you can slip your hand into and keep it steady. So that is very convenient to use this camera with. That's one of my favorite parts about it. And honestly, I want to talk about the lens on this thing too. This camera has a Carl Zeiss lens, so it's a very good lens system on this thing, which is amazing for a camcorder from whenever it came out at. I tried to do as much research as I could, but I honestly couldn't find a year on this camera. I found a review on it back in 1999, but other than that, I haven't seen any year that it came out or anything. So if anybody on here knows the year this camera came out, please leave a comment down below, because I'd really like to know actually. Alright, so let's get into the cords for this thing. This was probably the most difficult part of getting this camera to work for me, was figuring out what cables went where and which ones I needed, especially for having a newer model MacBook Pro. This is the whole bundle of cables that are needed to make this camera work with a MacBook Pro. So basically what I have here is I have a Firewire 400 right here at the end, this big long boy, and then right here I have a Firewire 400 to 800 adapter, and then after that I have a Apple Thunderbolt 1 cable. Attached to that is an Apple Thunderbolt 3 cable, which then at the end of this plugs into my laptop. And the other end, Firewire 400, plugs into the camera. What was hard about it is because this camera takes a Firewire 400, and any of the Apple Thunderbolts, I want to say take 800, 600 or 800 or higher. I can't remember the exact numbers. It's been like few months now since I've had this camera and was really like in deep on the information. So if you would have asked me a few months ago, I would have had it like down in my head, because it was like a whole ordeal figuring these cables out. So trust me guys, like this is awesome information I'm providing for you right here. This is good information, because this is the kind of shit that kept me up at night when I first bought this camera. Since none of the Apple Thunderbolt cables take Firewire 400, I had to get the 400 to 800 adapter in order to plug it into the Thunderbolt. And then since I have a newer MacBook Pro, I couldn't use any of the older Thunderbolts. So I had to get a new one, which meant I had to connect one of the older ones into the new one in order to plug it into my laptop. Let's see, this is 4 pieces all together. These 4 cables right here were literally almost the same price as the camera. So yeah, this is definitely the biggest hassle for this camera, was the cables for it, but everything else is pretty easy to find. Like you can find, like I said, you can find mini DV tapes fairly easily online. You can find the batteries easily. You can find the lens, the fisheye lens easily. And then importing footage, which I thought was going to be the hardest part, is one of the easiest parts. I just do my importing all on iMovie. You know, it's super self-explanatory and kind of just works itself out. Let's get into that actually, because I want to show you guys how I import my footage and how it looks, and just give you the rundown, if you will. So if you are thinking about getting this camera or have this camera and you just do not know where to start, or it intimidates you to even start figuring out everything you need to get this working, this video I'm hoping helps you out, because I'm basically just making a video that I needed whenever I first got this camera. So let's get into transferring the footage. Alright, so now it's time to transfer your footage. You're probably thinking, how the hell do I do this? What the hell? Well, I got the answers for you. First, you gotta have your camera. Gotta have the battery in there, because the camera's gonna need to be on while you transfer your footage. And then get the tape that you have your footage on. and also have that in the camera to transfer it over. So we're just going to throw this tape in here. And so I use iMovie to transfer my footage. So we're just going to open up iMovie here, and while we're waiting for that, we're going to get out our whole train of cords we got going on. So on your Firewire 400 end, you're going to want to open up this little front compartment on the front here of the camera, and it's just that top little notch in there. You connect the camera from the Firewire 400, and then once you get to the other end with your Thunderbolt 3, you're gonna just plug that puppy right into your laptop. So once you get your camera plugged into your laptop and have iMovie open, change the camera to the VTR mode, and that's just gonna open up the, I guess, like the recorder or whatever it's called. So then you can go through your footage. And then once you get onto iMovie here, click on this button up at the top, and that's gonna be import. And then you're gonna see here up at the top, it has the DCR-PC100 option. So you're gonna click on that bad boy. So it's gonna open up the camera, and so yeah, here's the last footage I just shot. So what we're gonna do is, I'm gonna rewind it because I have some footage of my friend Sam skateboarding that I had shot yesterday that I'm going to transfer. Gonna rewind our footage to our desired point. So whenever you want to start importing a clip, down here at the bottom right, just click import, and then as soon as you click that, it starts importing the clip and starts recording that footage. And then it's basically kind of a sense like recording it from your laptop. So then whenever you're ready to get done with that certain clip, you just click stop import, and then it transfers that specific clip that you chose to import from the entire tape onto iMovie, and in which case, from the iMovie app, you can transfer your footage onto your laptop, onto a hard drive, whatever the hell you want. So basically, yeah, I'm just gonna keep on keeping on here. Just record, get as much footage of this as I can. So this is just footage of us cruising around Clayton, Missouri in a 100-degree weather day yesterday. So I just realized I forgot to mention, whenever saving your files, I just wanted to show you the settings I use whenever importing and saving my files to my laptop. So what I have my stuff set on, I just have the format as video and audio, resolution 640 by 480, quality high, and then whenever I'm compressing, I compress for better quality because I'd much rather have as best of quality as I can with this footage. So, and then I just go in next, and I'll just save this to my laptop, Sam roof clip, and then boom, it's saved. There you go. Alright, so yeah, the Sony DCR-PC100 camcorder camera. Here she is in all her glory. So I hope if you're deciding to get a camcorder for yourself, and if you even want to get this exact camcorder, I hope this video helped you a lot. And before we get off of here, I just want to mention one thing that I forgot to mention about this camera, is that this thing has night vision.
I have a really good idea for it, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's one thing that I just honestly, I think that is such a funny feature. I think it's so cool. So yeah, that's gonna be about it for this video, guys. I hope if you decide to get a camcorder for yourself, this is helpful for you. I think it's honestly pretty cool that people are starting to really get into these, kind of like how people recently just gotten into film so much, and film photography is fully back. I could see that happening here with our camcorder friends as well. Anyways, that's going to be about it for this video, guys. Hope you had a good time. I know I did. Thanks for watching. Woo!